panelist is an inspiration to me. She have faced some odds and some obstacles in her life and her relationship with Christ. I think these obstacles and adversities that she faced were tools that drew her closer to God, that opened up the eyes of her understanding and caused her to realize that, like we've been saying, our relationship with God is very important and crucial in our life. So I want to introduce to those who don't know her, Prophetess Annie Coleman.
Thank you.
Amen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Can everyone? I can hear myself, so we're good. All right. First, I would like to get to know the ladies at the table. I'm gonna start with you. Your name is?
Yes, so my name is Blair Womble.
Blair.
And I announced that I'm Rebecca Powell's.
Okay. Awesome. And then remind me of your name. I know I met you, but I don't remember.
My name is Amaya.
Amaya. So I got Blair, Amaya, and again, everybody. My name is Ann Coleman. Hello, ladies. Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? All right, so you said it wonderfully about the trials that I've been through, some of the things that I've endured and faced. They definitely brought me closer to God, because one thing we all know is that if you try to do things your way, it'll get tiresome. You'll definitely start to think like, am I smart? Am I delusional? Like, which one is it? Am I smart or am I delusional? Am I smart or am I delusional? And I started to realize that I was a little delusional. It's like the patterns that I was doing, it showed what the definition of insanity was. When you do the same thing over and over again and you expect a different outcome, I was pretty much insane from, I'm going to say, I got to college in 2016. I left college in 2021. 2022 is when I decided to stop being insane and actually decide to allow God to really just speak to me and tell me, like, I've been waiting on you, and we've been waiting for this for a long time, since 12. So I'll start from there and then kind of briefly work my way up. So at 12, Pastor Coleman, my beautiful mother, shout out to you. We were at was it a youth conference or a women's conference? Which one was it? A women's conference. And Apostle Pollock, which is a great dynamic woman, she was speaking to both of us, ministering to us, kind of just, being prophetic as she usually does. And she looked at me and she looked at my mom and she was like, the prophet and the prophetess. So when she looked at my mom was the prophet. God called her to be a pastor way before I was born. So I was a pastor's kid, didn't ask for it. I didn't want to be one. I don't want to be in the spotlight, even being up here. This was not what I wanted to do. And wanted to sit in the back row, chill, imitate people in church, love the Lord, go to praise and worship, go home. That's what Ann wanted to do. God had a whole different plan. So when she looked at me and she said, the prophetess, I'm like, okay, what that mean? Like, I know what that mean for her, but what that got to do with me? So moving forward, it's like I know it was nothing but the enemy. It really wasn't Ann, because Ann did enjoy being in church. Ann did love, serving the Lord and working in ministry. So Ann enjoyed that, but I know it was the enemy working to attack the plan and the outcome that God had designed for my life. So he would put things in my way of like just wanting to stay focused on school or like SGA or just doing outside extracurricular activities. And when I get to college, we party. We have a really great time being in the world. We love the things of the world. But as we started to see, it didn't work out for us. Blair, did it work out for you? Okay, because I was like, okay, this is fun. But then when you wake up in the morning and it's 6 o'clock and y'all like, I don't want to do nothing. Church what? Who's going to church? We about to turn on a sermon from last year. That's what we're going to do. So moving into college and just really running from this entire gift. That's really what it is. It's a gift. The ministry that God has called us all to, whether it's teacher, prophet, evangelist, pastor, apostle, all of missionary, ushers, it's all a gift, and we all can shine in our individual gift, just like how the scripture says, if we're different pieces of the body, then we all have a specific function. So as I was moving through college and then getting out of college, I did not graduate. So shout out to you, just being amazing, because that is college and I'm not going to say like try to downside the older generation and the college experience that you guys had, but now it's like you go to college to try to get this 4-year degree, and then don't start with a degree where you have to go get a second degree or a third degree, or you have to get like 5 different certifications on top of those degrees. Like, you don't realize, if you didn't have someone who already walked through those steps, you don't realize what those steps take. So I thought I wanted to be a athletic trainer, minor in physical therapy, working with the NFL, and I would have loved that. You mean to tell me I get to be with handsome men on the sideline and I get to nurse them back to health and be in this comfortable outfit, just shorts and sneakers and slides and hoodies? Yes, that is my calling. I like that. I want it. Give me like 17 of them. Isn't that like the TikTok video? So, did not get to be an athletic trainer. I loved it, but it wasn't what God had for me. As I got out of college, mind you, I was also I'm in the feminist movement and women's rights. And don't get me wrong, we have rights, but our rights are in the Word. Our rights show us exactly what's in Proverbs, what's in Titus 2, what God designed for Eve. It's all throughout the Bible. So our rights are in the Word. So when God first revealed that to me and he showed me, you're not an alpha female. You're not a part of this feminist movement. You're not an ally of the LGBTQ community. You are a child of God, and these are the mandates that I have placed for you that you're supposed to follow. When he did that to me and like slapped me across the face a little bit and just took what I thought was my identity and showed me my true one, I said, okay, all right, cool. So is prophetess really what you want me to do? Because I take missionary Coleman every day of the week. It sounded good for my mom, and it could be good for me, Lord. So after 2022, moved back in with my parents. I still live with my parents. We're loving it. They're loving me. My cat's loving them. My mom does not love my cat. So we're in this transition phase. And as adults, it's like, I really don't want to deal with you right now. I want my own space. And don't add trying to be a single focused on the Lord. And now you're in a household where there's other things that you have to focus on. Your family's important that you have to focus on. Your personal time. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm trying to focus on my business. But the scripture says, singles, devote yourself to all things in God. So if I'm supposed to do that first, if I'm seeking first the kingdom, then all things will be added to me. Then I know that if I can give God 30 minutes in the morning of just straight worship, then I know that he'll give me another 24 hours and 30 minutes of the rest of my day to bless me, to open the door like he said he was going to do. Fun fact, I was engaged. My fiance passed away. That was another thing that she had hinted to in my bio? Yeah, we'll call it a bio. So in my bio or my introduction. So when my fiance passed away, it was very unexpected. I got a word from God, and I'm not going to speak to the other side. So I'm only going to speak to what God has spoken to me. What God spoke to me is that we were together for such a time as that. The peace, the love, shout out to Auntie Janice because she confirmed that. The peace, another prophet, by the way, the peace and the love that me and my former fiance got to experience together was nothing I got to experience on an earthly love level. I was searching for a man that could, this gonna make me cry. I was searching for a man that could love me just being me. And that man loved me. Oh, that man loved me. So the fact that God blessed me with that moment, I couldn't thank him for nothing else but that. So now that I am now a single woman again, I'm single again. So I'm single again, and I told God, I had went to his gravesite, and I went by myself. I just wanted to really have that, like, okay, this is it. I'm laying all of this to rest. The old relationship is gone. God, what do you have for me coming into the new relationships, the new relationship I have with you. And the one thing he told me is I also have my head covering on, but one thing he told me is that I am going to be the love, the newer love, the way that Joseph loved you earthly, the spiritual is the way that I'm going to love you. I'm going to provide for you in ways that you have never been provided for before. And I'm not just talking financially. I'm not, because when you're talking about being an entrepreneur, and I also have no 9 to 5. I just have a 24/7, 365. And I be thinking, can I get some more days and some more hours? So with just that, I don't have an income where I can just rely on, okay, well, I know these bills are paid. I'm trusting on only one true God. And that God has been amazing through and through. He has been that spiritual love, that he has been everything that I needed more. And when we get into more questions, I brought my journal, which this has been loved on. This journal, I had this when I started college. I want to say I had it in 2017 because that was the first entry date. And I highlighted a lot of the different things in my life where God was starting to build my relationship with him. And it all started in 2022, which is also the same year that I had met Joseph and we started to get into a relationship and different things like that. But my personal relationship with God has been amazing. And I can't fathom what he's going to do next. So, yeah, that's it. Hi, I'm Ann Coleman, and I am loving the Lord.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your entrepreneurship? This is a business?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What is your business, and how did you build on that?
Okay. Awesome. I like that question. So the question is what is my business? I am the owner of Alpha Events and Design. I still kept the Alpha, but we know that the true Alpha is the one that ends with Omega. So I did keep the Alpha, but I gave a natural and an earthly spin, or a natural and a spiritual spin to my business, because I know that Alpha is the Alpha and Omega of my life. He's going to be the reason why my business does prosper, because this year when I was sitting in church, I want to say this was when we were Greater Impact Ministry at the time, and we were visiting Greater Works. There was another prophet. He was speaking about different things. And while I was listening to the message, I was just like, okay, God, well, how does this message, include me? There's a lot of times when we sit in church and we're just like, is this message for me, or am I supposed to be just like chilling and praying and interceding for somebody else? So as I asked God, like, what does this message have to do with me? He said, I'm just going to open the door. That's a very blank statement. So being an event planner, you can do pretty much anything. You can plan the events and just leave them right there. If somebody calls you and they say, hey, I would love for you to plan my wedding. Sure. What's your budget? What would you like to do? Or do you have specific colors? Do you have a caterer? Do you have a cake designer? So I could handle just the planning aspect of that. But Alpha Events and Design is supposed to be this one-stop shop. That's the way that I envisioned it. That's the way that God gave it to me. Alpha Events and Design will be the one-stop shop for anybody planning an event. If they want the planner, they can get it. If they want the coordinator, to where if I come in and you say, this is my wedding, this is what I want you to do, I want certain people to walk down the aisle at this time, I want my mom to sit here, I can do that. But if you also want the decorations, I gotcha. We can do that too. So that's my business, Alpha Events and Design, event planning and coordination company. What was the second part of that question? I know there was a second part.
How did you
Build it. Still building. Still building. So I founded the business don't let me lie, Lord. The idea and the preparation came in 2021. I want to say November. I didn't found my business or get my LLC, not my LLC, my EIN number, which is a business social security number for those who do not know. Your EIN number my EIN number, I got that in 2022. So 2022 was a monumental year for Ann in general. I got to meet this amazing 6'5" man, and I got to love on the Lord a little bit more in a whole new way, and I get to start a business. Let's go. We're taking off. It's rockets in here. And then it said, so building a business is not the easiest thing in the world. Whatever you see on social media, don't believe it. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the YouTubers that's telling you, oh, you can go out here and get your LLC and your business name and build business credit and take out these types of credit cards. And yeah, but do you have a 9-to-5 where then you can work for your 529? Like it's a whole bunch of things where I think we see on the internet and just in life in general where we see people sell this dream, but they're not giving you the nightmares that they had behind the dream, before the dream even came. So building a business is not easy. However, it took me 2 years to even get bylaws for me to get a business portfolio together to where I could say, okay, well, if I have 150 guests, then this is the ballpark range of what I would like to charge. If I was to pull out a business loan for $80,000 and buy X amount of items, then this is what I would then rent my event equipment for. So it took me 2 years to figure, because it's a one-man game. When you're an entrepreneur and you don't have the luxury of people who have trust funds to give you or some form of a bank account, you have to nickel and dime it until you can get the millions and trillions that you want. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just stay focused. If I could give 3 advice tips for that, do all the research you can. I would not hit the ground running in trying to execute. I would learn first. So learn first, study, then execute. If you can learn first into an industry, so whatever let's just say, for instance, you want to be a firefighter. We're just going to make it very basic. You need to figure out the history of firefighting, because in that history, you would then see that, okay, well, I found out that firefighters have mustaches for a reason. I did not know that firefighters wear mustaches to keep the smut and stuff out of their nose and different things. And then when they sweat and it's like the snot's coming down, it stops it from going into their mouths. Never knew there was a scientific reason why men had mustaches and they're all firefighters. So you being a woman, how are you going to combat the issues of sweating down your nose and the snot that's coming out? How are you going to combat that if you don't have a mustache? You can't grow facial hair. Well, you could, but we don't recommend that. We don't recommend that. So learn the history, then study the history, see how that applies to you. How can you execute this in a different way? I got to see that event planners, designers, and coordinators were doing something in this one-track way. A lot of them thought or said, I have people who've been in the industry for 30 years. They said, well, you need to go and get your certification. Are you a certified event planner? Am I certified? Well, first of all, how much that cost? They told me, y'all, in order for me to get a piece of paper that they said that would make me qualified for the job, when I know God qualified me to do this, because he told me he was going to open the door, it's $300 a month to be a part of a group of people that tell you that you learned what they learned, so now you can be a certified event planner. And then you got the event venues that are following in this scam. I think just like how health insurance is a scam, well, event planning certification is a scam too. Because if you have an event venue and you tell me, oh, do you have a certification to be an event planner? I'm going to look at you and I'm going to look at my client and I'm going to tell them to choose. Choose me or you choosing this venue? Because if you choosing the venue, I can't help you plan it. So study. Or learn all you can learn, study all you can study, and see how that applies to you, and then execute it in a way that God gives you and how it would be beneficial for you. So yeah, entrepreneurship in Ann's way. Yes, ma'am.
I think a lot of times young people have dreams and aspirations, and as you were saying, if they have not fully thought through the different aspects of what it takes to make a business to be successful, they will become discouraged and give up. But as she was saying, you know, and I've heard that over and over through the years, that when you are considering a business or starting a business, do your research. Check to see if the service that you're offering is really something that people are interested in utilizing. I think it's important to talk about sacrifice. What are some sacrifices that you had to make?
Come on.
Some sacrifices that I had to make were, I'll go back to the college thing. So, being that you are on a college campus, as I said, I went to an HBCU, there are going to be so many distractions all around you. For one, no supervision of any sort. No one is going to be holding your hand, taking you to class. So some of the sacrifices that I had to make was, if I know I have that 8 a.m. class, I'm not going to be out till 2 a.m. That's just not something that is realistic, especially if I have an end goal to get toward. Another sacrifice was just knowing that you can't keep everybody around you anymore. You know, it kind of goes back to what Ann talked about as far as people will be placed in your life for a reason and a season. And if you don't have the discernment to know when that time is up, you will continue to allow toxicity and negativity in your life. So that's a sacrifice that you have to make as well. Even though you may have had so many good memories, so many good times with that one girl, but at the same time, you know that you're on a different life path. This person may not have God in her life. And yes, it's up to you to, you know, encourage that in her life, but at the same time, she has to be okay with taking that walk herself. So if you know that she's going down the left path and you're going down the right, that's a sacrifice you're going to have to make too. So.
Ooh, can I ask a question to that? Okay, so now, because I love that mindset when you have to learn, that's actually a form of self-care.
It is.
When you think about what are my values versus what is this other person that I'm dealing with, whether male or female, old or young, what are their values? Then you have the question of, is this a friendship or am I just supposed to be a discipleship? Because I have probably passed on so many different discipleship people or just persons in general, just because I wasn't able to use that discernment and I wasn't walking in the Spirit. So I would have never known that this was the time for me to minister or to just be used by God to just talk about my story or encourage them or just tell them like, hey, like, no, we not on the same vibe, but I have no problem encouraging you when you need it. But we just can't be friends. So what would you do if so friendship, let's start there because you mentioned friendships twice. And I feel like in the girl world, friendships are this weird situation where we don't understand how to navigate it. Or if we thought we knew how to navigate it, we really didn't. So what would be advice to you on if I'm supposed to be all that God has called me to be? I have friends who are great friends, supporting friends. They may go to church on Easter Sunday. They may not. What is your advice to young women that have to make the decision to cut people off or set a boundary in their friendships?
So I actually have been through this a lot in the past couple of years. So my advice would be, one, first, you need to.
That's why I love this question.
So I'll just tell y'all what I did. So I prayed about it first. I wrote out a list of my friends, and I asked questions on, does this person bring negativity and drama to me? Am I always pouring into them, or are they pouring into me back? And then also I asked, is this person contributing to my walk of faith or walk with God? Those questions, I think it was one more. I don't remember if it was on support or what it was, but I had a list of 4 questions, and I think it was 5. And if they failed 3 out of those 5 questions.
Come on, math. The math be mathing.
So that's how I did it, but also like really heavy on that prayer.
Yeah.
And I asked God to reveal it to me, what I need to do, because I may not be able to see past emotional or like attachment. So if God can reveal it to me, it will make it easier to make that decision.
So the first thing you said was you asked, is this person pouring into you, and were you pouring into them in an equal amount? Do you feel like you do that at school? Like, do you feel like you give too much of yourself at times?
I'm that person, I guess you could say that. I'm that person who, is always, helping out people, helping out other people and stuff. And, I think it's back like what you said, with, the enemy will come with distractions. He didn't give you stuff that you weren't interested in. He didn't give you stuff that, you didn't want to do. You know, he saw that you were good in school and that you had your academics and you had a plan and a goal in mind, and so he used those to feed you into your way out of the church. And I think he did the same thing for me. You know, since I'm always giving back into people and helping people, encouraging people when I can, I found myself in a situation where, from me supporting and helping someone through a situation, I took it farther than an association, and I shouldn't have done that. So yeah, I would say to
That you give too much.
Yeah. I feel like you know, the that was one of few situations where something like that has happened. Um, but I just like how you pointed out, and then with what Lexi just said about emotional attachment.
Yeah.
You know, he won't just leave it at that. He'll take it. He'll attach you emotionally with it too. Because part of the reason why it was so hard for me to leave was because I had that emotional attachment, and because of that attachment, it had clouded my mind, and I wasn't thinking properly. And so instead of me taking the time, because I always think things out, think things through.
Yeah.
So I wasn't taking that time to think about certain things that happened and how this person was making me feel and their impact on my life. And so it caused me to make extra unnecessary decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. When I say friendships, I'm a social butterfly. I love people, especially people that love me. So if we can all be on the same page and have a great time, I think I started college with like maybe 10, a group of 10 of us. I'm going to just say 10 because I know it was more guys than we had girls. I think we had like 4 girls. Yep, we had 4 girls. We had 6 guys. I started out with 10. I do not associate myself or talk to anyone in that 10. Blair? It's so normal.
Yeah, the people that you start with are not
the people you finish
with at all, and that goes back to the reason and season thing. I feel like through college, I was put around the right group of people for that environment to help me stay focused. But after that, like I said, if the paths are not in alignment, then you just have to have that discernment to keep going, keep growing.
Yeah.
And I did want to add something else. It's going to switch topics just
That's
slightly.
fine.
The social media thing. Because I have a love-hate relationship
With social media?
And as I'm getting older, it's starting to be more on the hate side. Because it goes back to the reality thing. They're showcasing things that look perfect, and it seems like you've gotten all of this so quickly. I don't see any struggle going on. And that's something that I would say as a piece of advice to younger people is put in the work if you want to get there, because social media shows you that it's possible. Like it does do that, but it does not show you how many hours you're going to stay up, sweating, tired, none of that. It doesn't show you that. Nothing is easy, so you have to put in that effort to remain focused and meet that goal and continue to set goals and continue to elevate. But social media,
that is the root of all evil. That we thought it was money, no, because now the money done got on social media. So we gonna call a spade a spade. You evil. Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question. It's more geared, I guess, toward you two older ladies. But Sister Maya's coming on up in age. And I know she's pretty.
Very mature.
Somebody's gonna be looking at her. So can we talk about relationships? Because my niece, we were having a conversation on the way down about, she just turned 25. And our birthday month. And she's single. And, people say, why haven't you did this yet? And in your situation, I know it's different. But, like, how can you speak to younger women, or even women your age, and some older women, because some older women are single, and try to, just encourage them and let them know that, just because somebody say, oh, you're 30, you should be married by now. You should have 5 children, you should have a cat and a dog.
You 25, you should have a ring by now.
How do you handle that? And how do you encourage us, like Amaya coming up? Because we do have relationships, and as we grow, they flourish into different things. And sometimes it can create ties in different situations, depending on the choices you make. How can you help her and other people? Because I feel like my answer might be a little long-winded.
Hey, I mean, we both got long-winded answers then. I can speak to, I can speak to the fact that Amaya is young. And I realized, or not realized, but yes, I did realize. I'm going to give myself some credit. I realized that there are different phases of love as you get older. When I was in high school, I just thought I loved Chris. My mama knows exactly which Chris I'm talking about. I just thought I loved Chris. He loved it me, and you just won't let me see him and hang out with him. But mom is protecting me because mom has been Ann, and mom has seen Chris multiple times. So as you get older, there's going to be different relationships, specifically with the male species, that you will meet or come across where you think that you're in love or you think that you deeply love this person, but then once you get to the 21 and up phase of life, you realize I am not willing to die for this man nor give kids in his name. Because now that I look back at some of my relationships, I'm like, woo, yeah, you look back and you just be like, no, me, let you be a father to my children? No, you be my husband. I have to submit and have a mission of submission to you. No, you don't have a plan, sir. You don't even know what you want to do. I'm over here helping you figure it out. No. So there's different phases of love. Focusing on yourself and your self-esteem is the number one thing that you can do before you're 21. Before you are 21, if you learn who you are first, learn what you don't like, and I'm not talking about in relationships. I'm talking about, you know what, I really don't like how I seasoned this chicken last night, and I feel like I put a little too much salt on it, and this is just making me feel like when you get to learn, I've learned that there's certain sweets that I eat, and it's just like, I don't like the way I felt when I wake up in the morning, or there's certain things that I do or I move. I'm starting to be so much more in tune with myself because I'm just focusing on me. So when you get to just focus on you, you get to love yourself in a whole different way. And I don't know if there's dad in life. Is there a dad in life? Sort of. Okay. Honey, that is another monumental thing. When dad is not present, and I'm going to speak to the camera, when there is no father or father figure present, that is the most monumental thing that will tear down specifically our young women of God. Because we are first supposed to be protected by our fathers. If our father is not there, or we don't have a father figure to first be the priesthood of the home and guide us and lead us and give us that love, we're going to go out here in these streets on Instagram. I'm going to be swiping left and right on Hinge, and I'm going to be lost in the sauce. But I'm going to let Blair take it away because I know she got something good.
So I was a bit different when it came to the guys. In high school, that was not at all a focus of mine. I was not even trying to look at a guy. But then somehow, some way, ended up in a relationship. For me, when I was in high school and that guy, he was pursuing me. And I just knew he was not the one for me, but I was like, I'm kind of bored. There's nothing really going on. I'm going to date him just because I've never experienced having a boyfriend. Let's give it a go. But I let him know for sure after high school is over with.
Okay. You were smart. Because we're going to HBCU.
Yeah. He already knew the deal, but it was worth the experience. And I got to learn myself in the presence of a guy. And I was already emotionally mature, and he was not. So I was like, it's a lot of stuff that I'm picking up on. Like, okay, I don't like this about this guy, so this is not what I'm looking for in a guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say when it came to college,
yeah,
I think that I started seeing people I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
HBCU, I'm like, oh, I'm looking at him.
The chocolate.
But at the end of the day, I still was not. I wasn't as forward as other girls were.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I still wanted to, kind of be courted. I wanted to date. But after my father passed when I was a freshman in college. After that, something switched. And like you said, a distraction, or not even a distraction, but something happens when the father is not present in the young lady's life. And at that, I was in college, a bunch of guys around. I almost felt the need to fill a void because my father loved me up and down. That was my best friend. Call him every day.
Oh.
Thick as thieves, everything. So after he passed away, I was just kind of like, where is this love now? So I'm like looking at guys like, okay, I need to find somebody. So I'm meeting this dude, and I'm just like, it's just not doing this for me. It's not doing anything. So then, and it also went in with my path to God. That's whenever I got back on track. After I started going to those ministry meetings, it was just like, okay, I'm feeling the wrong void, or I'm feeling the right void
with the wrong thing. Yup.
So I'm like, okay. So after I got back on my walk with God, I was like, yeah, I don't even look at people anymore. So now being 25 and single, I lived in LA these past 2 years, and I still have set that standard of what I'm looking for. And as I've matured, the standards just keep,
They keep getting higher.
Yeah, like I would rather meet the guy who's gonna meet the standards and be equally yoked with me than to be still searching for someone looking for the wrong thing in the wrong person.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is my experience with dating. And I'm also very quick to cut somebody off. So that's different. But yes, I feel like if you're looking for a guy, don't look because they need to come seek you. Okay? But yes, so that's not on it.
Speaking on seeking. So when we look at the book of Proverbs and we look at Ephesians 5, specifically for the man, there's a lot of things that we can see, like we learn things happen first spiritually, then it happens naturally. If we know that in the Bible it says, he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord, we see two things in this. Actually, we kind of see three. We see he, which means that there is a specific gender that's supposed to find a specific gender. If you picking up what I'm putting down for the message that we preaching, then we know what that means. So he finds wife, which means that he is not a husband because he has not even gotten that favor that wife, which is she, which is we, will bring. The second thing is find. Or actually, that's third, because I said he finds she, which is wife. That's second. 1, 2. The third thing is that find is men are going to hunt regardless. They're going to hunt regardless. When you find when there's a guy that's bothering you so much, it's because he's trying to figure out exactly where you're at. He's trying to figure out what bothers you and how far can he get. He's going to push the limit because he's going to hunt to the extent of finding out what can he get from you. So if he's going to, and you just let him keep touching you and poking on you, and then he gonna go to the rib cage and he gonna see, oh, well, she let me touch her hand. Well, now I can go to the rib cage and kind of mess with her. And then you get to college and it's just like you go and try to Netflix and chill, and you just want to watch Netflix, and you didn't know that Netflixing and chilling was a whole different definition. And then you got somebody poking you on your rib cage, and it's not poking you on your rib cage no more. We trying to do adult stuff, and that's not what I wanted to do when I came over here. I wanted to watch Little Mermaid. So, and Little Mermaid is not Little Mermaid in this man's mind. So, when we see that men hunt, we know that that is a God-given quality in a man. We know that that's what they're going to do. They're going to want to find out how far they can get with you. I've had people ask me, men specifically ask me, oh, what's your definition of too far? The fact that you asked me what's the definition of too far, and we're talking about with sexual relation, if you ask me what's the definition of too far, then now I know that I need to just go ahead and cut you off. Right. I have to snip right now, because you're not a quality candidate for who God is calling me to. So if you're trying to push boundaries in a negative way, instead of asking me, oh, well, did Noah do this, or did Moses? What about Ruth and Sarah and Hannah? And you're not talking to me about the Bible, or you're not even just asking me about your personal relationship. I don't want to talk to you at all, because men gonna hunt, but you got to figure out if it's a positive or a negative way.
And another thing I want to add is, please stop at the red flag.
I
feel like if you even feel like a flag is slightly yellow, okay?
Yeah, it says slow down for a reason.
Yeah, step back a little bit and see what's being and shown and presented to you, because eventually it's going to turn red.
Mhm.
So I would say, and set your boundaries too. Do not be afraid to set boundaries, because what they're going to do is be like, oh my God, leave me alone then. Okay, bye. Because that's what the boundaries are for. If you can't respect that, then you don't need to be in my life.
Amen.
So yeah.
Ooh. Because now we got to talk about self-esteem if we're talking about boundaries.
Before we do that,
Yeah, go ahead. I
I
love this.
First of all, high school relationships don't last.
No,
Never.
no.
They never
And
last.
the high school sweethearts are just
Like,
anomalies.
that's just, after once senior year is over, so is that relationship. I've seen people who've been there all high school, all 4 years, relationships. Oh, this is love of my life. We're gonna get married, have kids, all that.
Oh, that sounds
Senior
cute.
year, whatever. It's
Yeah.
gone. Bye. But I would say y'all gave very good points. And some of those things that y'all talked about, I already saw myself, like boundaries. Like I said, we have a great director at the Boys and Girls Club. She's had different programs where we talk about relationships and talk about things like that. And so, in a way, it was kind of confirmation, because y'all said similar things. Setting boundaries, it's a very important thing, and you need boundaries in more than just the dating area of your life. You need personal boundaries, boundaries with all forms of relationships. Because people these days would do anything, no matter who they are, whether they're a relative, someone who's considered a friend, an associate. And like she was saying, men and women will both try to get as much out of you as they can if you don't have those boundaries. One of the things the director had said was, "Let your no mean no and your yes mean yes."
Yes, that's Bible.
Most of the time, for women, when we say no, we mean no. That's it. No mind changing, no thinking about it the second, third, fourth time. When we say no, that is it. Especially if you're a mommy, you tell your child no. That's the end of the game. That's the end of the game. She said no. That's it.
That's it. It's final.
Yep. But yeah, boundaries, they're very important, and I think that's something that my generation, I'll say, lacks. Either we lack boundaries, or we don't have them strong. We say, I want a man, this, and this. Then we meet somebody, or I'll say the devil disguises somebody like that.
Counterfeit.
And we see, okay, well, the third thing on my boundary list, he doesn't meet. But that's okay. We'll just push it to the side and we'll work on it. Or we'll just forget about that for a little while. We'll just do it. And we make all these excuses for the boundary. But if the person came from God, then he would meet every requirement and more. Like she said earlier too, you really got to think about men of God have a way, because they came from God, and God shows through them. Pastor was telling me about how her and Apostle met, and the way Apostle handled them meeting and them dating and their whole relationship. And I look at that a lot, because when I compare that to these other relationships and these other guys, it's 1,000% different. They're on two sides of the football field.
You can't compete where you don't compare.
Right. They don't make any sort of stage requirement in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Not even down to the shoes they got on their feet.
Come on.
I cannot compare to my Apostle over there. No. They don't approach it correctly. A lot of times these women, they pursue the men. When the Bible tells us that a man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. So why are we as women going out and finding men? Why are we dressing up and looking cute and doing all this stuff to go after men and go find men? Well, we as women are supposed to wait and be patient.
You want to know why they're doing that though? It's because they on social media and they looking at TV and they favor celebrity and they say, sprinkle. Let me tell you how I got this six-figure, high-value man, and how he just spoils me, and how you can't go out the house if you don't have a beat face, nails, hair done, laid to the guard. Like you're looking at we're looking at these women that are personified to the tens, and it's not even nowhere near. Goes back to exactly what God had told me. Like, you're not in the feminist movement. You're not an ally. You're not an alpha female. And all of these women that we're seeing that are pursuing these men or purposely placing themselves, it's called, It's called freestyling, where they go out to high-class cafes or high-class hotels and sit in the lounge or the bar, and they'll try to meet these high-figure earners. And it's it's putting yourself into the man's role. And God did not design us to do that. He put Adam in the garden first to tend to the garden, to learn about all the different animals, to make sure that everything was okay. And then when Adam went to sleep, boom, here comes Eve. And it was like, whoa. And what were we supposed to do? Help. So it's, yeah, like that. It's ridiculous to me when when we see it in a church setting. You see a lot of women on social media that are in the Christian community, and they're still sitting in that masculine role. It's like they can't get out of it. And I understand, coming from someone who has their own business and tries to make sure that I can be, okay, this is, Prophetess Ann, this is just Ann as a daughter, this is Ann as an entrepreneur, and then this is Ann as a friend, or this is Ann if I possibly go on a date. And it's just like there's a lot of different Anns, but we have to also remember that there's just Ann, the child of God. And Ann, the child of God, there's a certain line that we have to make sure that we stay behind. Because if you go outside of that line, now you just have all these different things you can pick up. Oh, I'm going to be that girl in 2025. Or I'm going to be in my soft girl life era in 2025. I'm going to become my higher self. When I tell y'all, these are all the things that we're hearing on a daily basis. If I scroll on my YouTube page, I have to, and when you said the affirmations, you have to be careful about that. Affirmations are not something that we look at it in the natural, and it's like, okay, it sounds good because it's positive. But then once you start to see in the spiritual that there could possibly be negative connections to those affirmations. If that affirmation does not glorify God and you're not putting the word along with your affirmation, it's no longer an affirmation. It's glorifying yourself. So that's also something that we have to look at too, because it's just like we're putting ourselves in these masculine positions when God just wants us to be in our feminine and be that helpmate and be the strong woman that we still can be in Him, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. So that's one thing we got to focus on.
We put ourselves in these masculine positions and go after all these guys, but then we scream, we want a guy who loves us for us. We're not even acting like you.
Yeah, you not you at all. You don't. Come on.
You don't even know. You don't know the other half of you. You don't know what type of chicken you like. You don't know what fish you like. You don't know what clothes you like to wear. You don't know half the stuff about you because you're still in school and you're still learning about yourself. You're learning about other people. And some people, they date for the experience like Lexi did. But then I feel like a lot of times when that happens, then the devil likes to play with it and feed on it, because then he says, okay, well, this happened in this relationship, and like I said earlier, it brings that emotional attachment. So now we call ourselves heartbroken, and we want more of what we didn't get in the last relationship, and we bounce around. And again, that can lead to that experience and those lessons learned, and that can also help set those boundaries and stuff like that. But why put yourself through the drama when God will already provide everything that you need?
Let's give our ladies a hand.
Hey, look, we can just hop on a podcast or something. Get on our Zoom.
Yeah, we're gonna ask Prophetess Ann if you will extend the invitation to Christ for those that may be listening on Facebook or those that may be in the building that may not know the Lord as their Savior.
Yes, ma'am. I got you. Okay, so to everyone in this room that loves the Lord first, shout out to you, because the decisions that we made to love God first and honor Him with all of our ways, that's the best decision we could have made. To the people in this room that possibly, well, I like God and He sounds great, and I don't really know if giving my all is something I'm ready for. I encourage you to just make that leap. Take the plunge and just give your all, because it's not a straightforward path. There is no such thing as becoming a Christian or giving your life to God and it's easy. I don't know who sold that lie. That is definitely not true. To the ones on social media that want a better relationship with Christ or does not have one at all, I encourage you to just drop in the chat, just say, I want more. I want Him. I want God. When you do that, somebody in this ministry is going to personally contact you. However, I am going to allow this whole entire room, we're just going to bow our heads, close our eyes, open our hearts up to him, and I'm going to lead us in prayer. God, we thank you for the people that are in this room. We thank you for the ones that are online. For the ones that are online and the ones that are in this room that do not know you, God, I just ask that they open their hearts, they raise their hands in their minds, in their physical realm, and they just say, God, I want more of you. God, I want to know you. God, I want to experience you like never before. As they make that decision, even now, whether it's today, tomorrow, next year, next week, God, we encourage them to get into a church that loves God, that loves you, that wants to serve you, the ones that are Bible-based. And we just ask, God, that you will just continuously pour into their hearts and pour into their spirits. If you do not know the Lord and the pardon of your sins, I just want you to repeat this prayer after me. Just say, Dear Lord, I thank you for loving me. I thank you for dying on the cross to save me from the sins that I have committed. I thank you for loving me more than I love myself. God, I accept you into my heart, and I want you to become my Lord and my Savior. Forgive me of all of my sins. Forgive me of all of my trespasses. God, I will serve you wholeheartedly. God, I will serve you through the ups and the downs. I will serve you in the in and the out. I am saved, and I am your child. In Jesus' name, amen. If you prayed that prayer on social media, we are so happy for you because you are a part of this kingdom. You are a child of God. I just feel like today was a monumental moment. I do have a gift for the young ladies that are in this room. Pastor Coleman, if you don't mind, handing me the bag real quick. Yeah. Can you get that bag from her, sweetie? Thank you. All right. So I know we didn't get into me reading my journal. However, when I was preparing for this, I started to really think about what are we, as young women, what are we facing? And God was just like, what do you mean, what are we facing? What did you face? And when I went into my journal, there were things that I wrote, and it was just like, wow, this relationship with him was not easy. It was not a straightforward, I gave my life to God, I'm perfect. Because we're not perfect. So I and God went to